second time. Alhamdulillah.
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. MashaAllah, mashallah. Jazakallah khair everybody for joining us tonight for our annual Night of End program. Inshallah, I'm just going to give you a quick walkthrough of the evening's plan, and then inshallah you'll know what we're going to be doing and when the program will actually begin. We're going to, actually right now, if you notice outside, there are some potluck items. There's a potluck Big Friday event tonight. So we're going to begin with going back outside. You know, your seats are safe, alhamdulillah. Grab some food, inshallah, mingle. We're going to pray Salatul Maghrib at about 7:47 when it comes in, inshallah. If you have babysitting, or if you have children, the babysitting starts at 7:45. And you'll have to walk them to the Sunday school area if you know where that is. If you don't, just find one of the staff members or volunteers and they can guide you, inshallah. We'll pray Maghrib, and then we will begin our program promptly after Salatul Maghrib and Sunnah is done, inshallah. So with that said, you know, put your purse on your chair or your wallet or your kufiya and head outside and get some food, and then you know, when we call that event, you'll know that the time for eating is over. So Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum.
She's already got plans. This is you eat no, eat slow, chew, and enjoy every bite. And then we keep on counting. You done good? You need one more piece or you got enough? You need so many? Should I go get you one more piece? Where are you? Oh my dear, there is no date, there is no time. It's not spicy, it's cheese pizza. Thirsty? Oh, your daddies are super clean. Oh, it's tougher than that. As long as it's fun trouble. I know, right? Let's see. Model student. Give her time. You like that? What did you put in your smoothie? A mustache? A smoothie mustache?
Yeah, just yeah.
all the time.
Thanks, Mr. Fernando.
Gotta eat again, second time. Third person.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله
الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين إن ربك يعلم أنك تقوم أدنى من ثلثي الليل ونصفه وثلثه وطائفة من الذين معك والله يقدر الليل والنهار علم أن لن تحصوه فتاب عليكم فاقرؤوا ما تيسر من القرآن علم أن سيكون منكم مرضى وآخرون يضربون في الأرض يبتغون من فضل الله وآخرون يقاتلون في سبيل الله فاقرؤوا ما تيسر منه وأقيموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة وأقرضوا الله قرضا حسنا وما تقدموا لأنفسكم من خير تجدوه عند الله هو خيرا وأعظم أجرا واستغفروا الله إن الله غفور رحيم الله سمع
That's Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله.
So, if I don't mind asking parents to take their kids, babysitting is open now. So if you want to go ahead and drop your kids, we try to keep it here for adults, side of ilm as usual, so you don't have to do it. And then left will be sisters, and then the right is brothers. So I'm not allowed to play the rules. So
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. If they are couples, they can stay here. If they are couples,
okay with it, I'm okay with it.
couples, only couples.
So babysitting is in the the Sunday school area. So if you guys need any help with finding it, our volunteers will go ahead and guide you with this. And I will start in 5 more minutes.
Just one last check. مشكلة سريع التليفون أسرع. جبنا له
How do you
sign.
exactly say your name? Because I don't want to torture you.
حاتم
Bazia. Okay, so I'll say it. Okay.
Fantastic. مثل قبل كده كمان يا همسة، يعني لو الناس خلصوا خلينا نبدأ. دلوقتي الناس كلها موجودة خلاص.
حازم السكرين gonna put an absent.
وصل والله؟ فين؟
Do you want it to be called Professor Hatem or
بروفيسور
Dr.
حاتم،
Hatem?
بروفيسور حاتم.
Because I put you as professor, so make sure. Okay.
انزلوا الناس منازلهم. انزلوا الناس منازلهم.
Important in the society because they try to get down training.
صح صح ايوه. ابو عمر وصل هم ابو عمر لسه واصل اهو صح. هم الشباب بيشتغلوا يوم الجمعه فبيقفلوا المحلات حوالي الساعه 8 بالليل.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
عليكم السلام ورحمه الله. قربي شويه منك يا حسين. قربي شويه. طب تستخدمي ده وخلاص.
Too far away.
قربين بوك.
I think I need a stronger assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Hamza, and I'm honored to be here with you tonight. I am the seminary coordinator as a volunteer. It was a blessing that came to my life because I wanted to study Islamic studies but also give back to my community. I was lucky to work with a great team, alhamdulillah. Sister Layla has been my mentor and my go-to person anytime I challenges of managing the program. I always go to Sister Layla as she is the heart and the brain of the program, along with her role as the executive director of Tarbiyah. Lately, I was lucky to work with Sister Sarah Hindi. She has been a great help in covering all on-the-ground logistics, and I'm sure the students have been seeing a lot of her lately. Besides my role in the seminary program, I also started as a seminary student. I already finished 2 years, and I have 2 more years to go, so keep me in your prayers as I am finishing my degree in public communication and my last 2 years. Tonight is a special night. It's our 2nd anniversary for Night of Ilm. It is our first time providing our own classes along with our satellite classes. Without further ado, I please welcome the director of the seminary program, and it happens to be my father, Dr. Imam Sharif. I want to just ask to make a special dua for him. He just completed his doctorate degree after 5 years of hard work and sleepless nights. He, as usual, made all of us proud, alhamdulillah. That's of course the second achievement for him, because I'm his first achievement. I have to give myself a credit. He is the co-founder of Tarbiyah, and he played a different role in building this organization with my uncle. He was the executive imam at Tarbiyah, he was the head of chaplaincy Nizami, and now he decided to dedicate his time to be the director of seminary at Tarbiyah. He used to work as a supply chain consultant for the biggest companies of the Gulf and received his master's in strategic business unit management from HEC Paris, and just recently received his doctorate degree in nonprofit organization management. Yes, that's my overachiever father. Please welcome the director of the seminary program. And the baby sitting again is at the back. If you guys need any help where it is, I'll go ahead and take your kid.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. I want this to be a little bit engaging, and I will expect at least most of you to take some notes, especially for those who want to join the program. So I really want to see some engagement. People that will open their phone and take notes and name of scholars, because this will be, I want this to be a little bit more engaging discussion. الحمد لله رب العالمين، واشهد ان لا اله الا الله وحده لا شريك له، واشهد ان محمدا عبده ورسوله. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي امري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. I don't think you're here today only to celebrate another year in the seminary program. Maybe this is one of the reasons, but I don't think this is the main reason. I don't think you're here today to join us in the most critical year in the program, where we decided to teach supplementary courses and Islamic studies and Arabic just based on our own teachers and resources. I think you're here today because on behalf of the seminary program, I want to thank you. I want to personally thank all of you, the members of this community, for your trust. For your trust, for your love, for believing in the vision of this program. It's hard to believe that in 2 years, we served hundreds of students that enrolled in the program. And I want, if we have any Tarbiyah staff members here, if we have any of them, I want you guys to stand up, because I want you to join me in giving our community a strong round of applause for their trust and for their love in this work. Thank you, Brother Jeffrey, for sending up. Everyone has some personal goals. And by personal goals, I'm talking about personal goals. Not to start a profession, a career, and get a new car, and build a house, and have a spouse. This is all things that will, they go without saying. It's all part of Allah's rizq, subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm talking about the personal goals, the very individual, the very intimate ones. That whenever you leave this world, and people, inshallah, after a long life for all of you, healthy life for all of you, after people put us in the grave, and the moment they leave the graveyard, they will say, Allah yarhamu. He was so, and so, and so, and so. These are the personal goals that you should have. Not to start a career, or to find a spouse and partner, these things will come. What are the personal goals that you have for yourself? That whenever people leave you alone by yourself in the dirt, they would say, Allah yarhamu. He was one of the greatest sponsors of Aitan. He was one of the great sponsors of students of knowledge. You couldn't imagine this person that we put him in his grave. You couldn't imagine. He sponsored how many students? This is the personal goal that we need. Someone who built a masjid. Someone whose heart is always connected to the masjid. Umar al-Masajid. These are the personal goals. Whenever you stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with no money, with no profession, with no professor, with no doctor, with no titles, you will say, Ya Allah, Wallahi, I dedicated my life for these personal goals. And God, you didn't deprive me from achieving these dreams in my life. And today, I want to thank Allah Azza wa Jal for not depriving me of one of my personal goals. Working in the Gulf 7-8 years ago, and Allah is my witness, that was one of my dreams. Working for companies and making money and traveling and living this life and enjoying having BlackBerry. During that time I had BlackBerry. I asked myself, is this like the best life for me? And then my brother asked me, why not to move here? Let's come. Let's start something. Let's increase our rewards. Let's plant the seeds of goodness. And that, Allah is my witness, that was my dream that time. And today, Allah Azza wa Jal fulfilled my dream. And He didn't deprive me of seeing the tree of knowledge growing and blossoming and teaching more and more students, creating a hub of knowledge, making knowledge accessible. Facilitate knowledge. We are the facilitators of the knowledge. We don't have knowledge. It's Allah's knowledge. And I'm humbled today to be in the presence of Professor Hatem Lazian. He's one of my teachers, and even my dissertation, I had so many citations from Dr. Hatem because of his amazing work. And I'm humbled to be in the presence of my brother, the founder of the Tarbiyah Institute, the visionary leader behind the organization. And it looks a little bit awkward that I'm the one who speaks and he's the one who listens. This is not our relationship. But I'm humbled to be in his presence today. And I'm humbled to be among all of you, our great community members, serious students of knowledge. And may Allah Azza wa Jal always keep this community strong and united, and beacon of light, and torch of light, and instrument of good, and catalyst for healing. Allahumma ameen ya rabbal alamin. Very briefly, our philosophy behind the Tarbiyah Seminar is a little bit different than other seminaries, with all the due respect to all the scholars and to all the other Muslim seminaries. Our vision is a little bit different. We focus on the relationship between the teachers and the students. We try to focus on the scholars, the life of the scholar, the sacrifices of the scholar, the challenges of the scholar. So whenever I say, or I teach one of the classes, Imam Bukhari, who is Imam Bukhari? So my students, they know exactly who is Imam Bukhari. It's not only narrated by Bukhari or is this good hadith. No, they know who is Imam Bukhari. Muhammad ibn Ismail, born and died, students, teachers, challenges, achievements, problems, flaws, mistakes. The relationship between the scholar and the students. So whenever you learn with me any of the classes, you have to know who is Ibn Jarir al-Tabari, the one who, the life of the first scholar who wrote the very classical book of tafsir. Who is he? How did he die? And why? And who are his students? And who are the teachers of this great man? You know why? Let me ask you this question. Why we are so connected to the Sahaba? Think about it. Why we believe in the integrity of the Sahaba? Why we believe in their actions and words? Why we believe in their intentions? You know why? Because we believe in the teacher of the Sahaba. They are all converts, per se. All new Muslims, all of them. And all of a sudden became the stars of the Ummah. And whenever we mention their names, what we should say? Radiallahu anhum. Imagine the amount of dua we give to the Sahaba until the day of judgment. Not because of them, because of their teacher. Because we believe in the mentor, the Murabbi of the Sahaba. That's why Allah Azza wa Jalla in Surah Al-Tur, Ayah 48, talking to the teacher of the Sahaba, talking to Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he said to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, فاصبر لحكم ربك يا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. Be patient with Allah's decree. فإنك بأعيننا. You are under our watchful eyes. We gotta take care of you. Allah is saying this to His Prophet. You are under our watchful eyes. We will never abandon you. So we trust the Sahaba because we trust the teacher of the Sahaba. And how we know everything about Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam? How do we know everything about him? From whom? From the companions. They told us that's how Sallallahu used to sleep, used to eat, used to laugh, used to drink. We learned everything from him, from them. And my question to you, did you recall any ayah of the Quran where Allah Azza wa Jal asked the Sahaba to document his life? Never. Matter of fact, in the very first phase of the Ba'tha, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam asked the Sahaba, do not write anything I say. Write only Quran. Later on, in Medina, he asked Abdullah ibn Umar ibn Khattab, write everything. Now we have the writer of the scriptures. I'm good. But in the first phase of Islam, he asked the Sahaba not to write everything. Yet, they documented everything. Why? Because they fell in love with their teacher. No one asked them to do this. But they believed in him. They fell in love with him. This connection, this relationship between the Rabbi and the Murideen, between the teacher and the student, between the mentor and the mentee, it started with Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. The more you know about your teacher, the more you get inspired by him. The more you know his personal struggles, the more you're inspired by him. And this is how the student-teacher relationship started by Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And we know about even the students of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam from their students, and from their students, Abdullah ibn Abbas, and Abdullah ibn Umar ibn Khattab, and Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As, and Anas ibn Malik, and Zayd ibn Thabit. We know everything about them from their own students. And we have one class with my partner in the history of Sister Cyrus League. We dedicated one class to talk about this intimate relationship. We're going to discuss in this one-year course the life of the scholars who shaped the identity of the Ummah, the personality of the Ummah, using their words and pens and actions. And beside the history class, this is our philosophy for all the classes. All the students should know the scholar in a very personal level, in a very intimate level. Now you will be inspired by them. And I want to start giving you some examples. And this is the moment for you to take some names from me, and I want you to dig deeper and research more about these names. The first interaction between the scholar and the abid. It's not the king yet. The scholar and the abid. And what's abid? We have abid here. Abid is the one who is worshipful. He's known for his ibadah. Right? He's known for his ibadah. And the scholar that I'm going to start with him today, someone who died 33 Hijri, very early. And another narration, 36 Hijri. One of the very first scholars of Islam. We're going to cover all these names in the history class. And this Sahabi, he had this interaction with one of the Ubbad of the Ummah. And in Hadith Abi Umamah al-Bahili, Imam al-Tirmidhi in his Sunnah mentioned this hadith. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, فضل العالم على العابد, the superiority of the scholar over the abid, like the superiority of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam over the least of the Muslims. And I'm talking about the abid who fasting all day and praying all night. Yet the superiority of the alim is here and the abid is here. And this is the first interaction between the alim who shaped our personality and the alim. And the alim corrected the abid. And before I mention his name, I'm going to share with you a statement. And this statement represents the cornerstone of the ummah. It brings the balance to this ummah. إن لربك إن لنفسك عليك حقا ولربك عليك حقا ولأهلك عليك حقا. Yourself has a right upon you. Your Rabb has a right upon you. Your family has a right upon you. Who said this amazing statement? So everyone is saying Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Any objection? Ali? Well, not exactly Omar. I'm sorry. It's very common for us to know, Sallallahu said this. I think the answer is no. Sallallahu never said that. And who said that? And this statement became the balance, one of the foundations of the Ummah. Who said that? The scholar that I will start with his name today. Salman al-Farisi. Write down his name. So some used to call him Salman al-Khayr. The good Salman. The great Salman. And he had this interaction with one of the Ubbad of the Ummah. He was known of his ibadah. His name is Abu Darda. So Salman radiallahu anhu, he saw the wife of Abu Darda, basically Darda, and he found her wearing shabby clothes and old and dirty stuff. And in this day and age, people would hesitate to go to the wife of his brother and ask her, why would you wear like this? This scholar who shaped our identity, he didn't shy out. He went to her and he told her, Ya Darda, you're my sister. You have right upon me. I want to check on you. Why would you wear like this? Because they had no al-wara, al-kadhib, the fake righteousness that we have these days. Don't talk to the wife of your brother. It's none of your business. If you want to say something, go to your brother. No. This scholar taught us the opposite. So she was even more bold than him. She told him, your brother Abu Darda, he has no desire in dunya. So why to wear good stuff? Meaning he has even no desire in her. So the scholar of the Ummah, who shaped our identity and our personality, he went to his brother and he asked him, it's time to eat. So Abu Darda, the Abid, of course, he's fasting all day. He told him, no, I cannot eat because I'm fasting. But I'm your guest. So you have to break your fast. All night he's praying. So he went to him. You have to go and check on your wife, man. You have to go and check on your family. The fiqh of the alim, the balance that he brought to the ummah. That's what we teach in our classes. It's not the name of the scholar, it is the life of the scholar. It is the achievement of the scholar, not only the books, not only the words. So Abu Darda got offended. Why my brother is complaining about how my wife wears. He's complaining that I spend the whole night praying and the whole day fasting. And Salman said this golden statement, إِنَّ لِنَفْسِكَ عَلَيْكَ حَقًّا وَلِرَبِّكَ عَلَيْكَ حَقًّا ولضيفك عليك حقا ولأهلك عليك حقا فأعطي كل ذي حق حقا. Give everyone its own rights. So what did our eloquent teacher and Prophet ﷺ, how did he comment on this? Using how many words? What did he say? صدق سلمان. He said the truth. Imam Bukhari mentioned this, and Imam Tirmidhi mentioned this in their books. And there's another narration that I really love. It's not that common. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, instead of saying Sadaq Salman, he said something even more profound. He said, لَقَدْ أُشْبِعَ سَلْمَانَ عِلْمًا. Ushbi'a comes from shaba, that I'm full, I cannot eat anything. So he said, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, this man has knowledge that he doesn't need any more knowledge. Saying this profound statement means that he has all the knowledge that is needed. And this interaction between the alim and the abid enabled Salman to have another interaction. The scholar and the king. And this is the name of the course. And I hate to call Umar ibn Khattab king. He was one of the guided Khulafa. But look at this interaction between Umar as the Khalifa and Salman as the scholar who shaped the identity of the Ummah, who stood their ground even against the Khulafa, someone like Umar with his charisma, with his command, with his power. Umar said, أيها الناس اسمعوا وأطيعوا. Listen, hear and obey. So Salman stood up, the scholar of the Ummah. And he said, يا عمر لا نسمع ولا نطيع. I'm not going to listen to you, I'm not going to obey you. The brave scholar. They carry the amana of this deen on their shoulders. لا نسمع ولا نطيع. So Umar said, why? Because I question your financial integrity. You give everyone 2 clocks, and you give everyone 1, and you give yourself 2. You give everyone 1 abaya, 1 throat, and you give yourself 2. How did you do that? Because you always wear 2. And then Umar asked, he wasn't offended. He asked, where is my son Abdullah ibn Umar ibn Khattab? Let him come. So Abdullah ibn Umar came and he told him, guys, the other one belongs to me. My dad gave me one, like every Muslim, and out of love and gesture of appreciation, he's the Khalifa, I give him one. So now he has 2. Look at Salman. He wasn't apologetic. He didn't say, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean it. No. He said, الآن مر نسمع ونطيع. Now you can command us. After you clarified it, نسمع ونطيع. He stood his ground. You know why he stood his ground? Because he expected nothing from Umar. That's why the ulama said, من مقتضيات العالم الرباني, one of the prerequisites of العالم الرباني, talking about ربانية the whole year, البعد عن الحكام وعدم الدخول عليهم وعدم أخذ الهدايا والعطايا منهم. One of the prerequisites of the Rabbani scholar, stay away from حكام. Do not be among their hashia, their very close friends. And do not receive any money from them. That's why Salman stood his ground. He didn't care. Because he didn't expect anything from Umar. And one of the ulama that I always, whenever I speak about, I teach hadith class, I mention his name. Whenever I teach fiqh class, usul fiqh, I mention his name. And he is the one who demonstrated the Rabbani alim, who never accepted anything from the muluk. His name is Ahmad ibn Hanbal. 164 Hijri and died 241 Hijri. And you know the problem with Ahmed, radiallahu anhu, the fitna of Khalq al-Quran. We cover all this information in full details, not only in the history class, in the hadith class, in the fiqh class, because I want the students to know who is the scholar, what happened in his life, what shaped his words, what brought him. Ahmed bin Hanbal, he had a problem with 3 of the Abbas Khulafa, al-Ma'mun, al-Wathiq, and al-Mu'tasim. And they imprisoned him for 10 years. He was 70 years old man, the founder of the Hanbali Madhab. 10 years in the prison. And Al-Mutawakkil is the one who freed him. And he felt bad for him. And he opened all the safes for him. And Ahmad bin Hanbal said, I will never expect or accept any money from the Hukam. I don't need the compensation. I am a free man with a free pen, with a free word. I don't expect anything from that. To the extent he had a problem with one of his sons, and he has 2 sons, and both of them are scholars of hadith, Salih ibn Abdullah. He stopped eating from one of their homes. Why? Because one of them accepted money from Al-Mutawakkil. And he told him, Wallahi, I will never eat at your house. Because he wants to be a free scholar who will never expect anything from that. And moving forward, one of the prerequisites of the Rabbani scholar that we teach in our classes, sincerity, humility, and passion to teach knowledge. Sincerity, humility, and passion to teach knowledge. Imam Ibn Jawzi, in his book, Sayyid al-Khatir, there is a chapter. He said in this chapter, I think the title of the chapter is تعليم الخلق أفضل العبادات. It's an amazing chapter for any teacher, for any student of knowledge. You have to read this chapter. تعليم الخلق أفضل العبادات. The best عبادة is just to teach people. The best عبادة. That's why in Surah Al-Ma'idah, ayat 27, Allah Azza wa Jalla says, إنما يتقبل الله من Allah accepts from whom? من المتقين. He doesn't accept from everyone. Allah Azza wa Jalla إنما يتقبل الله من المتقين. Ayat 27, Surah Al-Ma'idah. And one of the scholars who was extremely passionate, extremely sincere and humble, that I always mention his name in the science of the Quran class. His name is Abu Ja'far Muhammad ibn Jarir ibn Yazid ibn Kathir al-Tabari. And I really want you to learn his life. Imam Abu Ja'far Muhammad, born in Khorasan, he was not even Arab. Imam Abu Ja'far Muhammad, he is the first one who wrote the most classical tafsir book. What the name of the book? Jami'ul Bayan. Imam Abu Ja'far Muhammad, born 224 Hijri and died 310 Hijri, very early. So someone who wrote book 224 Hijri, okay, well, he wrote a book like 240, 250 Hijri. So whenever one student of knowledge will come and compare this to Ibn Kathir, Ibn Kathir died 700 Hijri. So there is like 500 years between both of them. So how can you compare the work of both of them? Every scholar of tafsir learned a lot from Ibn Jarir. That's this person interaction and knowing who is Ibn Jarir, who is Tabari, who is Bukhari, it's mandatory for every student of knowledge. This personal interaction is imperative. Imam Abu Ja'far, he used to be very very patient and passionate when it comes to knowledge. You know how his reputation? People used to say, Abu Ja'far Muhammad ibn Jarir used to write 40 pages of knowledge for 40 years. He never missed one day. And one time, he collected his students, he gathered them, and he told them, I think it's time for me to start writing a history book. And his masterpiece, تاريخ الملوك والأمم. Amazing book. I would say every Muslim history, all of them, they followed his footsteps. He's the first one who wrote a very classical book of history, تاريخ الملوك والرسل. So he asked his students, let's start writing a history book. And they know his dedication, they know his passion, they know the teacher. So they asked him, teacher, how do you envision the length of the book? How many pages? So he said, well, it's from Adam to like 260 Hijri. I would say 30,000 books, 30,000 pages. So they said, هذا ما تفنى الأعمار قبل تمامه. We cannot die before we finish the book. So he said, you know what? إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون ماتت الهمم. The resolve of the Ummah, the determination of the Ummah is dead. You cannot read, you cannot write 30,000 pages. You know what? Let's write 3,000 pages. And he wrote تاريخ الملوك والرسل in 3,000 pages. And Imam Abu Ja'far Muhammad, he had a big fitna with the Hanbali followers. Very big fitna with the Hanbali. And during that time in Baghdad, the head of the Hanabiya, and we cover all of this in all our classes, not only the history class, the leadership of the Hanbali was under Abu Bakr Muhammad ibn al-Hafiz Abi Dawood Sahib al-Sunan. So Abu Bakr is the son of the one who wrote the Sunan Abu Dawood. And he became big scholar because of the prestige of his father. He wasn't the biggest scholar during that time. And he had a problem with Abu Ja'far Muhammad ibn Jarir. And our great scholar, the one who wrote the very classical book of Tafsir, he wrote book اختلاف العلماء والأنصار. اختلاف العلماء والمذاهب في الأنصار. It's an amazing book. And sadly, he excluded المذهب الحنبلي from his book. And don't ask me why, because I don't know. He excluded the المذهب الحنبلي completely from the book. And it was a big fitna during that time. Ahmed ibn Hanbal, the one who stood against all the Khulafa, you excluded him from your book. اختلاف العلماء والمذاهب في الأنصار. So he said, well, I don't think I have to add him because he has a local mazhab. His mazhab is only Baghdad. And the Hanabila didn't accept that. And they went to the Khalifa of the Abbasids, number 18, Ja'far al-Mukhtar billah, and they complained. And Ja'far said, moving forward, Abu Ja'far al-Tabari will not teach. We have to stop him from teaching. The sincerity of the alim, the passion of the alim to teach was stronger. To the extent the Hanabila used to go to the masjid and they used to curse him while teaching his students. I'm talking about 80 years old scholar. Imagine the humiliation. And whenever we look at the tafsir, Tabari mentioned this. Who is Tabari? You just mentioned names. Who is Tabari? Learn and open the books of history. You will be inspired by a Tabari if you know who is a Tabari. And now whenever you read the translation of Tabari, now you connect all the dots because you understand his struggles. They start cursing him. 80 years old Sheikh. The one who wrote Jami' al-Bayan. And then he used to complete the class. And the Hanabila, the fanatics, the humility and the sincerity and the passion of the teacher to teach until he dies. عبادة العالم تعليم الطالبين وهداية المريدين. I forgot to say that. عبادة العالم, the عبادة of the عالم, the عبادة of the عالم تعليم الطالبين وهداية المريدين. The عبادة of the عالم is to teach the students and to guide his mentees. It's the عبادة of the عالم. To the extent 309 Hijri, the students of knowledge who went to Baghdad to learn from Abu Ja'far al-Tabari, they said, Wallahi laqad mani'na. They stopped us from entering his house. They surrounded his house until he died 85 years old in his house. You know what they did? They said, we cannot allow this person to go to the graveyard and to be buried with Muslims. We have to bury him in his house. So talk about the Tabari. Know who is a Tabari. They buried one of the greatest scholars of the Ummah. The engineer behind the science of Tafsir al-Quran. The engineer behind the science of the history of this Ummah, he was buried in his house. And we banned him from joining the graveyard. This is Abu Ja'far, Muhammad bin Jarir Tabari. Ahmed ibn Abd al-Halim ibn Abd al-Salam, 661 Hijri, and died 728 Hijri. We cover him in full details. You have to know who is Ahmed ibn Abd al-Halim ibn Abd al-Salam. What's his nickname? Taqiyuddin ibn Taymiyyah. That's his real name, Ahmed ibn Abd al-Halim ibn Abd al-Salam. We call him Ibn Taymiyyah. And we call him Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah. You know what they call him now? They call him Shaykh al-Irhab ibn Taymiyyah. They call him Mufti al-Irhab ibn Taymiyyah. They call him Shaykh al-Dam ibn Taymiyyah. And we call him Shaykh al-Islam. Before you jump into any conclusion, learn who is Taqi ibn Taymiyyah. Who is this alim? He wrote amazing books: Al-Iman, Al-Istikhara, Al-Ubudiyya, As-Sarim al-Masrur, and then of course the Fatawa of Ibn Taymiyyah. I'm going to talk about the Fatawa. 661 Hijri and 978 Hijri. And this scholar in Damascus, they call him Mufti Irhab, and the one behind all the Irhabi Fatawa, he stood in Damascus, 699 Hijri, against the Tartars, At-Tatar, Mongols and Turks. And he went to Kazan, the king of the Tartars during this time. After Nasr al-Qarun soldiers, they dropped their swords. And the Tartars started killing Muslims in Damascus during 699 Hijri. And the only scholar who stood up to stop this bloodshed is the one that we call him now Shaykh al-Dam. He stood his ground. And he went to Kazan and he told him. And by the way, Kazan during that time, Tartars became Muslims. They embraced Islam. And he told him, you have to free all these people that you captured. So in order to make him happy, he told him, you know what? We're going to free all Muslims. And then Imam Taqiyuddin ibn Taymiyyah, he said an amazing word, and I pray that everyone talk badly about Imam ibn Taymiyyah would remember this. He said, بل أهل ذمتنا قبل أهل ملتنا. بل أهل ذمتنا قبل أهل ملتنا. You have to free the non-Muslims, the people of the book, before you free Muslims. And they call him Mufti al-Irhab al-Shaykh al-Dam. أهل ذمتنا قبل أهل ملتنا. You will never free Muslims before you free non-Muslims. The people of the book who lived in Damascus under the protection of Muslims, and they paid the jizya. They paid the jizya because we protect them. That's the agreement. أهل ذمتنا قبل أهل الذمة. You know how did he die? He died in prison. 7 to 8 Hijri. And the last message he wrote, Imam al-Dhahabi said, Imam al-Taymiyyah, he never got married. So they asked him why? Because he had no time to get married. He used to do 2 things: jihad, to write and to fight. That's what Imam al-Taymiyyah did. To write and to fight. And the last message he wrote, that was to his students. He told them, because 6 or 7 to 8 Hijri, they took all the books from him, all the pens, and they told him, you're not allowed to write anything. And this for the island is the biggest torture. So he sent a message to his students and he told them, أنا في نعمة ولله الحمد. I'm blessed. They took my pen, they took my papers, they took my book, but جنتي في صدري. My Jannah is in my صدر, in my chest. My Jannah in dunya is in my chest. The way I go, it comes with me. And I'm talking about al-Fatawa, and I'm not here to criticize the book, by the way, but I will leave you with this disclaimer. Who collected? Because we call this book, this is the root of what? Tashaddud and tatarruf. Who collected the book Al-Fatawa of Ibn Taymiyyah? Just a disclaimer here, and I want you to do your own research. The one who collected the book is Sheikh Abdul Rahman al-Qasmi, Abdul Rahman al-Qasim, and his son Muhammad, Shuyukh Najd, Shuyukh al-Hijaz. Sheikh Abdul Rahman al-Qasmi died 1392 Hijri, 6 years ago, 50 years ago. His son Muhammad, who collected the book, and he always criticized this book, Fatawa Ibn Taymiyyah, 37 volumes, 37, it's all about jihad and irhab. The one who assisted Abdurrahman al-Qasmi was Muhammad, his son. He died 1421 Hijri, like 25 years ago. Those 2 scholars from Najd, they said, we found the Fatawa, like 1/4 of the Fatawa, with one of the shuyukh of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. And I want you to connect all the dots, and who promoted the book, and who collected the book, and who compiled the book, before we say anything about the thing. The one that collected the book just died 25 years ago. And Imam Ibn Taymiyyah died 700 years ago. Open the history and learn. Imam al-Bukhari, the moment you find Muhammad ibn Ismail, you take the hadith of the faith value. You will never question the hadith. But do you know who is Imam al-Bukhari? Do you know that Imam al-Bukhari, who was born in Bukhara, who was dismissed from Bukhara? Imagine someone like Imam al-Bukhari, who wrote the great book, As-Sahih al-Jami'. As-Sahih al-Jami'. You know that Khalid ibn Muhammad al-Dhuhri, 256 Hijri, he dismissed Imam al-Bukhari from Bukhara. Do you know this? Or what you know about Bukhari is Imam al-Bukhari. He wrote this hadith, he narrated this hadith. It's a authentic hadith. And why did he leave Bukhara? We called him al-Bukhari because of this. Because the governor of Bukhara, Khalid ibn Muhammad al-Dhuhri, he told him, I want you to come to me with a Sahih al-Jami', come to my house, because I want you to teach me and my children the book. What did he say? Imam al-Bukhari. He said, أنا لا أذل العلم ولا أحمله إلى أبواب الناس. I will never humiliate knowledge, and I will never carry knowledge and drop the knowledge and deliver the knowledge at people's houses. That's not me. أنا لا أذل العلم. I will never humiliate knowledge. I'm not a donkey that I will carry the knowledge and go to your house to deliver it. We'll never do that. You're the governor. It's either you Imam Bukhari left Bukhara, he made dua against Khalid ibn Muhammad al-Dhuhri, who died 2 months after that. Imam Bukhari made this dua to Allah Azza wa Jalla, and he said, Allahumma, قد ضاقت علي الأرض بما رحبت. Ya Allah, this land became very hard and very tight and very low on me. فاقبضني إليك. I want to meet you. Someone like Imam Bukhari will be dismissed from Bukhara, going to Samarkand. فاقبضني إليك. You know what happened? Allah Azza wa Jal accepted his dua. And you know how did he die? Al-Bukhari, Al-Bukhari, Al-Bukhari. You know his life. He died after the last Salat al-Isha in Ramadan. Yes. Scholars of the Ummah. They shape the personality of the Ummah because of their dignity and pride. The last Isha in Ramadan, he died. And the whole Ummah, Nisapur, Samarkand, Bukhara, after Salat al-Eid, they all went to his house, they carried his body, and they put him. That was the celebration. Allah Azza wa Jal wanted Imam Bukhari to spend Ramadan in dunya and to spend Eid with Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And I want to stop here. I have a long list of scholars. But I really want to stop here because I'm someone who wants to come here and listen to Professor Hatem as well. And before I end, I want to tell all of you that you need teachers in your lives. This Ummah became strong because of this teacher-student relationship, because of this mentor-mentee relationship, because of the relationship between the Murabbi and the Murideen. And I pray for my teachers. And I ask Allah Azza wa Jalla for all our teachers who left this world, I ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to have mercy upon them. And to give share of my prayer to them. And to give share of my dua to them. And to give share of my sadaqah to them. And to give share of my umrah to all my teachers. And if my teachers are still alive, I ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to extend their lives. And to make their life very fulfilling and very impactful and very rewarding life. I ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to bring them and fill their lives with happiness, with comfort, with contentment, with sincerity, with tranquility, with comfort. I ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to raise their status in dunya and akhirah. And I ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to make all of us among the serious and the sincere students of knowledge. Allahumma ameen. And it's open invitation for all of you to join our program, inshallah. You will learn about this intimate relationship between the teacher and the student. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Thank you, Dr. Imam Sharif, for the words of wisdom and the role of Muslim scholars in the shaping of the word of our Ummah. Please welcome our special guest, Professor Hatem Bazian. Professor Hatem is a co-founder and professor of Islamic law and theology at Zaytuna College. It's the first accredited Muslim liberal arts college in the United States. In addition, Professor Hatem is a lecturer in the departments of Near Eastern and Ethnic Studies at the University of California, Berkeley. In 2009, Professor Hatem founded at Berkeley the Islamophobia Research and Documentation Project at the Center for Race and Gender, a research unit dedicated to the systematic study of othering Islam and Muslims. He also teaches Islamic law, Islamic fiqh, prophetic biography, economics, Islamic history, and all levels of Arabic. Please welcome Professor Hatem.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على خير المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. السلام عليكم.
وعليكم السلام.
Maybe we could take a couple of minutes just to stand up,
Yes,
question
please.
ourselves, and just move around our body, do some movements to begin adjusting get awakened a little bit. And I can ask you to go run in my, that would be inshallah. Jazakumullah. Now, I always try to begin my talk by giving recognition to the land that we are living and experiencing today. This is the indigenous people's land. And from an Islamic perspective, this is a stolen land, and we need to give recognition to the history and those who have been dispossessed of their territory. And as such, without this, Islamically, we would be incorrect without putting justice where it belongs. Even though that we are recent arrivals, we are still beneficiaries of the genocide that has been committed toward the indigenous population. And then second is to give recognition to our black communities, that many of them were brought in here in the holds of ships as enslaved people. And we could also recognize that between 15 to 30%, there was a study of the enslaved people that were brought to the Americas were of Muslim backgrounds. So much so that the only surviving manuscripts in the handwriting of slaves or enslaved people in the United States as we speak are written in Arabic. And they wrote either Quranic text, Maliki fiqh, or they wrote their biography. The first complete biography of an enslaved person is the biography of Umar ibn Sa'id, and you could actually right now access it online in the Library of Congress. And the first biography of an enslaved person in the United States that you read in the collection of Henry Gay Jr. is the collection or the biography of Ayyub bin Sulaiman, Job bin Solomon, who was actually educated to the level of a judge. Were brought in here in the area around Maryland. He escaped from his owner, and upon discovering that he is able to read and write, he was set free and crossed the Atlantic. And during his crossing of the Atlantic, he learned the English language. By the time he reached Great Britain, and alhamdulillah it's no longer great, he was actually, they say that Great Britain is the empire the sun never sat upon. Now they barely see the sun. They go to Greece in order to get a little bit darker. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala
has his own plans.
Has his own plans. I would think that God has a good sense of humor. You just have to understand what is taking place. But he actually made it back to, or made it to the UK at the time, learned English, and was able to debate with theologians in the UK. He was admitted to the Spalding Society, the same society that Isaac Newton belonged to. As well as in a short period after his arrival, we did the first English translation of the Quran. Right? So when we speak about Muslims and Muslim history, especially here in the United States, we tend to actually almost erase that part of the history of Muslims in the United States belongs to the history of black Muslims and Muslims from West Africa that brought here in slavery, but also that Islam, likewise, as Muslims were expelled from Spain, ended up in North Africa, and some of them actually became pirates. So as you go and watch the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, the characters in the Pirates movies are based on Muslim characters. They just erase that and they don't do it. It's actually the Barbosa's brothers, who are actually of Muslim background, expelled from Spain and ended up actually harassing European merchants throughout the Mediterranean and on the eastern coast of the Atlantic. So this is very important for us as we speak about Islam and Islamic positions and status here, that you need to narrate it with a longer historical lens. Why? Because that history is part of your history. Now, I often say that Muslims have often went into the problem of looking in the mirror and saying, poor me. And we read our history as truncated from world history. Meaning that, just like as we say, there's a chicken tikka masala and falafel in terms of there's food, and then there's the other food. We never think that both chicken tikka masala, which is not Indian, it's actually the recipe was created in the UK, but we take it as halal, that's okay. We never think of Islamic history as part of world history. And we never think of Columbus getting lost in his way to India, and the Native American actually discovering that he was lost. That's why Columbus sailed the ocean blue, because he wanted to get away from you Muslims. You see, you followed him all the way here. One of the important questions in history is, why did Columbus wanted to sail west to go to India, even though that we have two well-established routes of trade to India? The Silk Trade route was very well established almost 3,000 years before, and also the Indian Ocean route that was predominated by the Yemeni merchants out of Yemen, and then bringing the ships through the Red Sea into the Mediterranean, and then trade through much of Europe. What the history of searching for an alternative route is to try to bypass Muslims who dominated the trade and were the key ingredient in the ancient economy, or the economy in pre-modernism. Columbus' arrival into the New World also corresponded to the circumnavigation of the Cape of Good Hope down in South Africa, which also rewired the trade away from the Mediterranean and the Red Sea. So when we read Islamic history, we tend to completely not understand what happened, and we only look at the mirror and say, poor me, it must be I have not done enough dhikr, and that's what happened, rather than understanding that history unfolds, right, in discourse, that part of it is what happened to us, which we need to address, but also what was happening around us. Now, second issue. I don't believe that Islam is in decline. I don't believe Islam is in decline. Now, Muslims are a different bunch. So you're always going to hear me say there's Muslims good, bad, ugly, and in between. Those we definitely have a problem, and a 12-step program will not even begin to address it. But Islam is not in a decline. You want evidence? Look at you here. The furthest most point out in the world. If you tell somebody in 1910 there will be, about 26 mosques in this area, the larger area, Sacramento Valley, and so on, 26 mosques. In the Bay Area is about 96 mosques. Right? LA is about 130. If you told people in 1910 that there would be close to 2,200 mosques in this continent, the United States, they would definitely admit you to the hospital. Not only that, if you actually swim all the way to Hawaii, you'll find mosques in there. And if you happen to like the cold, not the one in Tahoe, you could go to Alaska, there are people say, Allahu Akbar, in Alaska. For me, every time I see Muslims any place, I only look at the ayah, وَرَفَعْنَا لَكَ ذِكْرَكَ, that we have exalted your fame to the Prophet ﷺ. So every time you see this, you're actually part of witnessing the miracle of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah is in control of the affairs of society, not you and me or any king or anyone in between. Again, Islam is not in decline. Islam, again, is guaranteed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إِنَّا نَحْنُ نَزَّلْنَا الذِّكْرَ وَإِنَّا لَهُ لَحَافِظُونَ. End of the story. Now, Muslims, again, it's a different issue that you hear. So we tend to bracket Islamic history from world history, and in essence, we think of Islamic history as a Disneyland trip. Like what happened? They stopped, the ride. We thought the ride is going to just keep going up. No. Allah never guaranteed for you to have power. تِلْكَ الْأَيَّامُ نُدَاوِلُهَا بَيْنَ النَّاسِ. These are the days that we move around between people. Today you're strong, tomorrow you're not. Today you're a king, the next day you're cleaning dishes. The day before you were an important person in country A, B, and C. The next day you are working Uber here in this country. That for me is the veracity to understand. تِلْكَ الْأَيَّامُ نُدَاوِلُهَا بَيْنَ النَّاسِ. These are the days that we train or move around people. Power never stays with any people. The only constant in the world is change. It's the only constant. You change, you see it physically every day. You are actually, the thing that we see around you is the dead part of you. That skin in here is the dead part. The living part is inside. And we constantly are shedding part of ourselves, right? We are in constant diminishment. The only everlasting is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So for us it's a challenge as Muslims because we have imagined ourselves to be always powerful. And we only understand Islam in relation to power. That's why sometimes, not again, we tend to, Salah ad-Din was here. Well, if Salah ad-Din was here, you'd be stuck still in Starbucks trying to get your latte. Wait, I can't. I ordered and they haven't prepared it yet. Because, I asked them for one of these complex orders that you need like a PhD in order to understand what the order is. What happened with just regular coffee? Right? Again, we understand that we read history only in relation to, read Islam in relation to being powerful, and we cannot conceptualize ourselves being not powerful. That's part of a problem. Again, don't misunderstand me. Again, I'm a Palestinian, so, most of you see me with some rocks in my hand rather than Muhammad. Right? And I need knappy and go out to protest, so don't misunderstand me. But reading history correctly is important. Because otherwise, you actually create yourself pockets in the brain that do not actually correspond to reality. And part of it is we don't think of Islamic history as part of world history. We think of Islamic history as what you call special category, right? Truncated here and there. As Columbus went into the New World, the Spanish and the Portuguese rewired the world trade system. So all of a sudden, the Mediterranean, which used to be the center of the world, trade and so on, became secondary, became a backwater, which affected also Southern European powers still till today. Italy is no longer the Italy that used to be. Right? It used to be at the center of trade in the Mediterranean. The Greek used to be on the center of the Mediterranean. Now, they barely can actually survive. That's part of the unfolding story of 500 years. That we are part of this unfolding history. So I'm going to put some challenges that we face, both in this country and also globally, and some specific challenges for us as Muslims that we need to be aware of. First, there are some things that we face as a challenge to us all as living as Americans in this country. Right? We face economic and political uncertainty. If you're sitting in here, tell me you're not concerned about inflation. Tell me that you're not watching how much is left in your pockets. Right? So again, these are concerns that impact everyone. And we have to be able to find some solutions and some ways to not only survive, but thrive in such conditions and political uncertainties in our country. And so you need to actually, again, you could disagree with me, but it seems to be that we reside here, but we're living somewhere else. Right? It's like many of us came here, I'm going to go back. And it's been 40 years, I'm going back. Going back where? Even the country that you left does not exist anymore. Right? Now, interestingly enough, I actually go and meet and do some research with Muslims. You go and sit down with them. They know every detail about what's happening over there, about who's running for election, who's actually fixing who, who's killing who. But you tell them who's the mayor or the council member down the street, they have no idea. A'udhu billah, I don't want to be engaged in this. So again, residing here but living somewhere else. That is part of the challenge. Economic, political challenge, so on, is there. Polarization. Right? We are living in a highly, highly polarized society. And I'm not speaking about Muslims, but throughout, well, some of this polarization is resulting in injury to Muslims. Right? And we have turned politics, right? Now the term in Arabic, siyasa, is actually the way of training the horse. Right? Today we have taken siyasa or politics as a gladiator, what you call tab of a battle. Oh, is Biden hitting a left hook? Is Trump going with a straight uppercut? All this that we no longer are thinking of politics as how to determine the affairs of society. And Muslims have begun to eat up this like everybody else. Right? So again, we have to find ways for us to address this as scholars, as individuals who are, look, Muslims are always an added plus to society, not a negative. What are you coming? What is it that you're coming? خيركم خيركم للناس. He didn't say خيركم to the ones that actually do tasbih in the morning to the Muslims. Prophet ﷺ, خيركم خيركم للناس. The best of you is the best of people. كل الناس. Either you have a relationship of belief with them or they're part of your relationship as Bani Adam. So again, this is part of polarization that we are feeding into this. This society is facing social decay. Our social institutions are facing decay. Now, again, let me put, oh, mashallah, I close my door and my house isn't clean. You go out the door, it's just like filled with the same social decay that is out there. What is out there is inside, whether you like it or not, so you need to begin to understand what is social decay and how to address it. For the larger society, for everyone, your neighbor. The Prophet ﷺ actually accounted for you for the 7 neighbors in each direction. And he said that I was worried that Allah and Jibreel was counseling me about my neighbor that I felt they might inherit. Most of us as Muslims, again, we don't know our neighbor because, oh, we say they're kuffar. Do you think the Prophet ﷺ was not living in Mecca and Medina with kuffar? Right? We know the story about the person that used to come and put dirt and refuse in front of the Prophet ﷺ house. Every day. One day he didn't come. The Prophet ﷺ went looking for him. He missed him coming and turned out that he was sick. Today we don't even know the neighbor. Alhamdulillah, say hi to him. That's halal. Right? The Prophet ﷺ lived in Mecca. When he went to Medina, if you read what you call the Covenant of Medina, it included the Jewish communities and included the non-believing Arabs. Right? And Wathiqat al-Medina, it says each one group is part of the contract of Medina. They have obligation and they have rights. So again, social decays, that is a challenge. American society is getting older, including Muslims. What are our plans for our elders? Right? What is the plan? We need to figure that out quickly. The average age in the United States is 38. Right? So how to figure out how to address the elderly that are increasing in our community, and we're actually getting more elders as well. So these are challenges that are encompassing all, and then the possible war that is in the horizon. So there are wars, again, the war in the Ukraine, I don't think it's going to end anytime soon. And therefore, what will be our both our impact, our contribution? We are a people that always try to promote peace. War for us is the last resort. So we have to be advocates for peace. How to be advocates for peace? That is based on justice. We have to be people that speak that language. That's very important and critical at this time. Now, for Muslims, we face a double minority status in the society. And for our black brothers, they actually face almost a triple type of minority status. It's very difficult to live in a place where you are actually facing these layers of double and triple type of minority status. And we need to find ways to address it because it has the ability to impact us as we begin to look at the world through double consciousness. We gaze on ourselves through the eye of the other because we have a double consciousness, something that the black community have faced, and we need to begin to address it in our teaching and in our school and with our kids as we speak to them. And part of it is actually get them to appreciate Islamic history and identity and get them to be feel confident about it. Now, one issue that we have to dealing with in terms of scholarship and so on is the social cultural wars. Some of these cultural wars are emerging out of real changes in the society, but some are stoked politically because politics has been transformed into a gladiator type, and the more difference you articulate, the more it is that you get people to come out. So we need to be aware, one is to insist on our values as Muslims, but not to be dragged into cultural wars of someone else. That if it's a war for you, meaning on your identity and your belief and your system, you are ready to take care of it, but don't allow somebody else's war to be scribed for you because you are the changing pieces on a chessboard for political campaigning. So we need to be very clear. In particular, Muslims have the right to opt out of educational curriculum that goes against their religious freedom. That's a right that you have. But we need to be very strategic in how to engage in insisting on our religious freedom, which is guaranteed by the Constitution. So again, these are real issues, and we need to be very strategic in terms of how we insist on religious freedom and insist on our ability to lead with our values as a community. Now, one of the issues that I've been trying to deal with is most of our institutions still lack endowments. Lack endowments. We speak about the freedom of scholars in the past. The scholars of the past had an endowment behind them, meaning that they did not have to worry that the king, president, or whatever institution is cutting them off, and therefore they have to worry about their stomach. So Maslow's hierarchy of need is still there. The first instinct is survival and being able to eat. If you can't eat, you can't write. And if you can't write while you're hungry, again, we get the exceptions, you have to have a way for us to create independent institutions with endowments. And that requires for us to reimagine our waqf and how our waqf was a model for sustainable development. You don't know when the United States wanted to write its policies on non-profit organization endowment, they looked at the Ottomans' record of actually developing awqaf. And the Muslims were, again, I would say, were genius in actually managing and developing awqaf as the social net for society without making people, right, feel stigmatized that they're actually benefiting from awqaf. So Muslims had a social welfare institution managed by waqf. It's a waqf institution. It was created independently of the state, so the state did not manage it, and it was localized. It was said that at the Ottoman period, you would be actually born in a hospital supported by waqf, treated and attended to by a doctor that was trained in a waqf. You get your milk and your sustenance from a waqf. Your child will go to school in a madrasa or a school that is supported by waqf. You will actually work in an institution that is connected to waqf. You get in a marriage through a waqf, and you actually live in a house supported by waqf, and when you die, your coffin and your grave is supported by waqf, and nobody had to feel that they are less because they were being supported by waqf. That, when I read the waqf, there was a waqf in Damascus to actually provide milk for cats. Again, Muslims are cat people, it's okay. Literally, they had a waqf to actually attend to birds who had their wings broken. Another waqf was actually set up because, again, domestic help was there. If a servant broke a dish, they could take the dish to the waqf to be fixed, so they would actually be rectifying, because damaging the property of another Muslim is a wrong action. So the waqf was set up just for actually fixing the plates. Talk about recycling as well as attending to the needs. Or the waqf. City of Baghdad had 18 hospitals, right, supported by waqf, with institutions of teaching institutions as hospitals in Baghdad. So before what we call today is Obamacare, we had Muslim care. Right? Even today, how many of you here are doctors? I'll talk to you after the tour. Right? We still, when you do the surgery, you're still doing wudu. Right? You still today in the hospital, the manner by which you prepare for surgery as a doctor is actually comes from Muslims in terms of doing wudu before they go to the surgery. Right? Again, the first mental health hospital in the continent of Europe was in Spain, in Granada, that provided people therapy with color, with music. No music. Music, sound therapy, aromatherapy, air circulation. Again, this is from Islamic history. So I know today we have almost 1,500 students, Muslim students at Berkeley. Most of them are either studying to be engineers or doctors. I call it the DNA marker for Muslims. I'm also still praying for genetic mutation. When are we going to have people that are really delving into Islamic history, texts, and so on, to be able to really discover these nuggets? Just actually 2 days ago, I just saw in the piece that the Mongols, rather than, they didn't burn everything in Baghdad when they conquered Baghdad. They actually took a whole bunch of books, and they discovered almost 83,000 manuscripts that were hidden behind some walls in some area west of China. So this is actually some material that needs to be explored, looked on, and so on. So we need to think of how to develop waqf as a mode of sustainable development for Muslims, but also for society in general. I really get upset when people begin to speak about so-and-so is getting welfare. I'm against welfare. Right? That's basically people, look at these people, begin to say, right? Some people are upset, like San Francisco have so many homeless and drug addicts, right? And in Sacramento they have homeless and drug addicts, right? You don't want to take pictures next to them. You don't want to take pictures, they don't look nice. Yeah. But you want to take a picture next to the CEO of CVS or Walgreens, right? The drug dealer. Right? Muslims will tell, oh, look at him, he's the CEO of, Walmart or Walgreens. You know Walgreens was responsible for the pushing of the opioid on people? They just been tagged with $500 million fine in San Francisco. The Sackler family, 25 and a half, now they're appealing. Walmart, all these what you call respectable drug dealers. So Muslims run at the opportunity to take with clean drug dealers, but they don't want to associate with the outcomes of the drug dealers. And people want to celebrate, oh, Malcolm X is the greatest Muslim, but Malcolm X was a drug dealer. You wouldn't recognize him. You wanted to distance yourself from him, but you only celebrate him after he becomes famous. The question is, how many other Malcolm X that you pass by you don't want to give recognition to? We only say takbir after the conversion. We don't do takbir before the conversion in order to actually recognize that people can be transformed. And Islam is a transformative tradition. The Prophet ﷺ said what? Said that the first people to enter paradise are the poor and the dispossessed, not the CEO, sorry. I want to take a picture next to Ronaldo and Neymar. Because all of a sudden I'm going to jump like Mike. Let me tell you, if you buy a shoe, you're never going to be like Mike. Right? The Air Jordans, people drop $500, but you ask them to donate to the mosque, oh, that's too much. But I want to be like Mike, so Air Jordan, and they put them in the garage and like nice places. They treat them better than they treat their kids. I know Michael is happy because you drop $500 for a shoe that is made for $10. I'll be happy. But the question is that he has their purpose. What is your purpose? Like most of us, either be trained to go after athletes or after a musician, right? And that's basically our scope in life. Again, that's their path, that is their path. So again, these are questions for us to actually think about our institutions, how we build, what we do, and the focus. I know that in Las Vegas, everything like Las Vegas, 25% of the doctors in Las Vegas are Muslim. I guess rationale, because everybody's going gambling, so they're actually attending to the outcome of the gamble. The question for us, and I know there's a large number of doctors in this area. Where are the Muslim hospitals? Where is the Ibn Sina Hospital? Where is the Al-Farabi Hospital? Where is the hospitals of Ihsan for, What is it? I know the Jewish community has hospitals. I know the Christian community has hospitals. Where is our hospital? We celebrate Ibn Sina, but we forget. Right? In Germany, they have Ibn Sina Hospital. Right? We made it. We discovered we need to imagine ourselves as people that actually transform society. Everybody can make $1. It's very easy. You could just stand in the corner and you just make $1. Just wiping what you call whatever, you could make $1. You could make $1 for Uber, but that's not sufficient. Some of us have countries that are filled, right? The Muslim world has so much resources that is just obscene. But we have lack of purpose and lack of strategic understanding. Like look at Singapore. Just in the 1960s, it was actually one of the lowest ranked countries in the world. Now their passport is the #1 passport in the world. Their income level is actually first or second in the world. Purposeful people. They invested in education, invested in institutions, invested in meritocracy. In many parts of our world, again the Muslim world, you get the position because of whom you know, not because of what you know. That's the reality. And we try to actually replicate this in our own practices in here, and that is completely wrong. Not acceptable. It just does not get you anywhere. We are people that were always looking to the stars to be up on top of the stars. Now we're just like fighting for the bottom of the barrel. It's always available. If you aspire to the star, and even if you don't make it to the star, you land on the moon, like India did. India landed on the moon, and we landed Neymar and Ronaldo. Right? At the end of their career. Again, people have whatever they have, but again, I see it the way I see it, and that's where we are. So, what we have for us here in this country at this point, we have a unique circumstance that faces Muslims. We have the ability to create a society that literally can model the society that was present in Medina with the Prophet ﷺ. Not that we can attain that level, but everything is possible in here for us to do so. We have the most educated Muslim population possibly across the world. And if you go to the Silicon Valley, there's about 70,000 Muslim engineers and so on at the top of their game. You go to one mosque, there's close to 600 PhDs in one mosque. So we have that. Second, we have complete freedom to actually implement much of our moral, ethical values in programs and projects. We have total freedom. Again, what we did with our freedom is we had conflict with one another. That we have, mashallah, we have many mosques because many slid from each other. The challenge for us is how to actually bring our talent together collectively and be appreciative of the difference that we have. in corporate America, they teach that the skill of how to build teams. And the key ingredients on team building is to try to mesh the talents, the different characters of individuals. They do all these exercises and they test and so on, the driver, the inspiration and so on, in order to come up with a team. We as Muslims, I argue, in this country, have not been able to develop the skill to develop a team. We all think of ourselves, every one of us think that they want to be Umar ibn Khattab as the Khalifa and everybody has to be following them. And if nobody follows them, then I go out and get another mosque for myself or try to get another country if a country accepts me. That method is a failure by design, not success by design. So we have to figure out how to actually create Muslim teams in a cooperative while accepting the diversity of opinions. The notion that Islam is what I had back home or what I experienced in my little circle does not exist in here. In any Muslim place, you have almost 70 to 80 different nationalities. Assalamu alaikum. Right? In any mosque, 70 to 80 different nationalities. So your back home does not exist except in your mind. And even more importantly about the back home phenomena, we imagine back home as the town we left in 1906. Even the people back home have advanced to 2023, but you go back looking for 1906. And you say, where is it? Where is everybody? Well, you know, they're living next to you in Sacramento. They moved to Davis. Where's so-and-so? Well, you know, they're in Chicago. Where's so-and-so? Well, he's eating croissant in France. What happened to that building? Well, you know, last fall the United States bombed it because they think it's something. It's like, our imagined path does not exist. But we insist on actually, because of the immigrant experience, I'm leaving the indigenous convert, the immigrant experience, once they move from back home here, that becomes the nostalgic fixed image in their mind, and they actually are unable to let go because that's part of their identity. And that identity becomes almost fixed, nostalgic, because it gives them an ability to live in the mix of this difference and challenge. But what happens is that they never let go of this, even as they go. The skilled one is able to deal with this as a historical memory while able to change. The only constant is change and adjustment. Back home does not exist for back home. So we need to figure those out, and in addition to figuring this out, we need to let go of our internal conflicts that we imported with us. Right? Those conflicts existed in there. The fact, I just came back from France, right? I was teaching for 5 weeks on immigration, refugee, and Islamophobia. And on the streets of France, you will find you have the Afghans that are working on Uber delivery. You have the Algerians, Tunisians that are doing the Uber driving in the cars. Right? You have the Egyptians working all the food market and the Tuesday, Friday open markets, vegetables, fruits, and so on.
Farmer market.
The Senegalese and Malay and so on are engaged in all types of either in the cleaning services or subcontractors working in contracts. So all the Muslims are there, and what's interesting is all of them are serving their colonial power, France, for no other reason than the reality that they have to come in there and do this work. And if you ask each one of them, you will have a story and a narrative about how they ended up in the place that they ended up. And if you ask them, they say, I don't see a difference between me and the Egyptians and the Syrians and the Iraqis and the Senegalese and Malayan. We're all post-colonial subjects that are working in our ex-colonial master background or backgrounds. So we have to figure out that the game that has been run, divide and conquer, difference and so on, that is not going to get you anywhere, especially in this country. We have to find a way to be unified with difference. Unified with difference. Right? If you're looking for somebody like you, just stay by the mirror. Because, right? And after a while, it becomes what's called boring. I even disagree with myself in the morning because I came with another idea, saying maybe I should let it go. The person you're looking for yourself does not even exist. Your wife will tell you, your sister will tell you, your cousin will tell you, your brother will tell you that that's the reality. Diversity is the reality, and we have to be unified with difference. Theological difference, fiqh difference, priority difference, methods and ways of work difference, and we need to have this skill because I think the Muslims here can do monumental work if we are able to do so. We don't lack talent, we don't lack resources, right? We don't. Other people have figured out how to mobilize, we haven't. Right? We don't lack resources, and we don't lack a tradition. We have a rich tradition. Like you knock on you scratch any part of the Islamic tradition, and just a whole bunch of things comes to you. I don't know if you read like Surah Al-Hadid. They just from NASA. They looked at the verse of the Hadith that Allah have sent down iron from the heavens, and NASA have been always thinking about and believing that iron came from the heavens. So the Quran in 1445 years ago said the iron descended from heavens. Right? So even modern science, modern discovery is just scratching the surface and it's right there for us. But again, we have taken our tradition into a completely almost immobilized, static tradition that does not answer every question that we have. Every question does not mean yes or no, halal, haram. Again, I'm very ready, it's like 1-800 haram, halal. We transformed everything in there. The halal, haram is very known and well understood. Most of the things we deal with in the society is in the area of mu'amalat, areas of transaction, areas of exploration, and that's a wide scope. Even in matter of theology, people disagree. Like today, if some of the discussions that was between the Sahaba, between Aisha, Ibn Abbas, and Abdullah, on the Mi'raj, whether the Prophet saw Allah and traveled with his body or his soul, there was two different opinions. Yeah. I bet you if it was a conversation among us, people would just go into fist fight. Yeah. Right? Just on an issue that is in the fiqh, you read the book and people will disagree. So we need to find how to do the work that is needed with difference and appreciate our diversity that exists in there. And I do believe that Allah has a purpose. I don't know His purpose in terms of what He brought us in here, but I know that He gave us the Quran, gave us the tradition, told us that you are the ones that are going to carry this forward. How we carry it is up to us. And every moment there is a possibility for you to make an impact and transformation. I do believe that we're here for a purpose and for here to actually be a net positive to society while also challenging the rules of the society. I'm not asking you to wipe over and not to challenge America. America, again, is a complex place, and you need to challenge this issue, but also to constantly be a net positive to transform the society. Believing in khayrukum khayrukum linnas. The best of you is the best of people, without exception. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لكم. والسلام عليكم.
جزاكم الله خير دكتور. الله عليك.
Thank you, Dr. Haddad, for your beautiful words. And inspiring, and thank you for being with us tonight in this special night, 9 to 10. May Allah always keep you the source of knowledge, the source of wisdom and light, and inspiration in our community. One of our community members wants to share with us her experience as a seminary student. She was with me in the Sisters Halakha, Sister Salaha. She is also a reliable and a committed volunteer and a close sister for me. And she is a student of ilm and that wants to gain knowledge. So please welcome Sister Adina.
All right. I am, as she said, as Hamza mentioned, Adina. I have been a student with the Nizami program first and foremost, and then we went up to Tarbiyah Seminary as that started. I've been a student for this past year, and I've had the privilege of taking courses in multiple different branches, be it Tazkiyah oriented or Arabic learning or supplementary courses that we offer. Alhamdulillah. As I was preparing for tonight, a question that came up was, why did I choose Tarbiyah Seminary as a medium to expand my Islamic knowledge and to pursue further Islamic knowledge? And it certainly was a multifaceted decision. I first was exposed to Tarbiyah through a volunteer. So the first and foremost, the key factor that I looked at was the welcoming nature I had felt as a volunteer and as a youth coming into Tarbiyah. And I was inclined to automatically be a part of Tarbiyah Seminary, knowing that it's part of the same institution. And I understand that youth here at Tarbiyah Institute make up predominantly all of the volunteers at best, whether it's Natomas or Roseville. How embedded the youth is in the programs was a seller. Second aspect that I looked at was the variety of subjects that were offered. I personally could have a different liking towards a subject compared to my peers, but most of the subjects that we were inclined to, that would lead us closer to our deen, were offered here, be it in the shape of traditional Islamic courses, like Tazkiyah oriented, as I mentioned, Hadith focused or Tajweed oriented, or Arabic language enrichment courses, or for a change, supplementary courses like God and Philosophy, which was a right for all of us students and the teacher alike. We are now offering Scholar in the Game, which is going to be this coming fall to discuss Islamic history that we usually and actually are not frankly exposed to. Lastly, what sold the deal, let's just say, was Imam Sharif. As always, he explained to us students that were looking to get enrolled into the program that these classes will be in in-person setting. I get a chance to ask questions directly to my instructors and my imams. Questions that at times run far beyond the class limits. Questions that you ask perhaps 2 weeks later after covering an assignment or after covering a topic. Intensive and engaging recaps of topics we covered. Once I was told that I am taking the program, and for every other class apart from Arabic, it was a breeze. It wasn't that difficult to get enrolled into because it was an introductory course. So it didn't require much prep work walking into it. But for Arabic language learning specifically, that was a non-negotiable point. I had to take Arabic, and the reason I say I had to was because my teachers over the years, Imam Kamran, Imam Sharif, Imam Aziz, and then back home, and my own experiences have led to an understanding that in order for me to strengthen my relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it cannot and will not happen without getting an intimate connection, a deeper understanding of the Quran itself. And that can't happen without understanding the depth of Arabic language. Now, as awesome as that realization when it happened was, the process was extremely tedious. It was not enjoyable at first. It involved alphabets. It involved writing the alphabets as eloquently and trying to pretend that you do know how to. It involved vocabulary quizzes and classes on Sundays. Nobody wants to be in class on Sundays. But we did. It involved some sort of sentence structure and grammar rules. Dry, boring language learning. But again, once I had enrolled, I had to take part and I had to go through with it. Once we went through with 3 trimesters spread on a year long, I understood what Imam Sharif tried to politely convey to all the students the first day of class, which was that language learning is not how we have perceived it in high school or growing up, which is you take a year or 2 and then you get done with that language. You pass that class after the 3rd year of high school and then you're done. I understood that after passing my first year of Arabic introductory courses that Arabic learning will be a lifelong endeavor. the one you sign up for because you understand the ultimate goal, which is to get closer to the word of Allah, to get closer to the hadith, to let your heart be moved when you actually hear these words, and to not actually have to rely on dictionaries every single time.
Yep.
Once that had happened, and I was happy that I had made the progress I had made, I was thinking to myself, how do I convince other members of the community, perhaps siblings, to enroll themselves into these programs, to understand the need of such programs, and to actually manage them? So the question that should automatically be popping in everyone's head is how? How do you manage to add on a responsibility when you already have full-time responsibilities?
Yeah.
Those that we don't get summer vacation or winter holidays from, like work, school, life, family, communities, masajid, volunteership that we all do. I didn't have a clear answer in the beginning because we were just trying to make it through each Sunday and each class. But then I understood that this is the work that I deem dry or tedious on the days of, the bad days, I mean, there are good days to them as well. Perhaps not to equal ratio. They were excited days where we knew what we were covering in the curriculum, and it was a burning question you always had, and today we get to answer it. Insightful debates that we all engaged in, God of philosophy, and even tajweed and Quran classes that we took. Intensive recaps we would go over and over just to understand the topic we had understood last week, yet now we have a different take and perspective after having that topic with us for a full week. Once that happened, I realized that I wanted to be a student like Ibn Taymiyyah. I want to be able to write books which can go unanswered. That's not happening. But that does not discourage me or any of my peers or any other aspiring students to enroll themselves into this program. It is not a requirement for you to be Ibn Taymiyyah, to be a part of these programs. Rather, on the contrary, the goal is to encourage the desire to learn in your own heart, without the need to prove it to a parent. Heads up, all the parents, don't force your child into enrollment. This happened, when once that had happened, I understood the idea when I first enrolled, was that I made a choice. I made a choice that I needed and I wanted to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Creator. He who is the most deserving of our attention, of our time, of our devotion. And that wasn't going to happen if the commitment to last through the tough days was not there. So there were good days and the bad days. The bad days we persevered through the commitment we had. And then it has been a fruitful journey, to say the least. I have not a sliver of doubt that if for anyone and everyone in the audience and beyond who's wanting to experience this sweetness, that you won't have success in it if you make this very choice. The choice to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to put in the work. The work that will be hard, dry, but always thoughtful and impactful. I pray that as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has allowed for me to taste the sweetness of getting closer to Him day in, day out, step by step, missing the mark at times, but always staying consistent, that He allows for you all but the same. Jazakumullah khairan to the staff that's associated with Tarbiyah Seminary, and Tarbiyah Institution at large, and our Imam and Shuyukh and professors who continue to flourish the environment that garners us learners that always continue learning regardless of the circumstances they are in. Thank you so much for your time and attention.
Jazakallah khair for sharing your experience with us. I pray you have to be able to finish your degree smoothly. Tonight has been nothing but a beautiful night. I am hoping you enjoyed it because I did enjoy it. Before I conclude the program, I want to show appreciation to our former senior coordinator, Sister Amy. I saw her today and I was like, this is a big shoe to fill. So please, thank you for all what you did right before I took, or tried to take a little bit of your place.
It's on order.
Give a clap. I want to conclude by sharing, besides the Islamic courses and Arabic courses that taught by Sister Ahmed, we also have supplementary courses that goes in line with our vision and here at Tarbiyah. As Adina mentioned, we teach God and philosophy, and next month we'll start our history course about the scholar and the king. Dr. Iman Sharif and Sister Saira will be the teachers for that class. Next year, leadership class will be taught by Dr. Iman Sharif and Sister Layla. Soon we're going to be teaching Sierra class, Muhammad al-Great al-Murabbi, and other exciting courses are coming soon. Outside, Sister Sarah has a table, so if you want to sign up or have any questions regarding the programs, please go ahead and talk to her. I'll go ahead and end by sharing this dua. I ask Allah to make us among the serious students of knowledge and increase in us the sincerity and ability in learning knowledge. May this knowledge be a shield that protects us from any harm in this dunya and be a bridge that will join us with our beloved Prophet. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. Thank you for coming tonight. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.